Well, welcome everybody to the channel. Today I'm kind of excited because I've got something I've been wanting for a long time. Now, it's a little bit older, but it'll work for what I need. I ended up getting me a manure spreader. I've been wanting something like this for a long time, wanting to have something to, basically when I feed hay, sometimes I get these big piles and so forth, and I want to scrape those up, pile them up, let them set, then spread them out over these fields with that. Now, this is it's not a new one. He's got a few little age on it. It's also ground driven. It's not a PTO driven one. Would love to have a PTO driven one, but for now, this will do what I need it to do. I got to get it off the trailer. We're going to be cleaning it up. Haven't decided. It's an old John Deere model. Pretty nice. Been around a while. All right, it's been a few days since we got back to the manure spreader. I'm going to get back on this manure spreader. In the meantime, though, I power washed it. It looks really good. And today, the gentleman that had it before me, he went and he put a sealer on it and everything. We got rain coming in here in the next few days, I hope. And I'm going to spray it down with basically used motor oil and diesel mix. I'm going to spray the whole thing down and get it, and I'm going to use a sprayer to do it. A lot of people use a brush. I'm going to use a sprayer on it, let that stuff soak into the wood. And yes, it's safe and it will work really well for something like this. There's so much hardware on here that it's really hard to do this with a brush. And so instead of trying to do it with a brush, we're going to spray it down and use a sprayer. We're just kind of getting this thing ready for, use, and let all that soak into the wood really well. That'll penetrate that wood, get in there, and it will preserve that wood. Now, this is something they used to do years ago. The old timers have done it for years, and one of the best preservatives you can use on wood. I do have this about 50-50 diesel fuel and motor oil, and so it should, that's why it's spraying so well. It's not super thick, and it's spraying really nicely, and it's soaking in really nicely. And I will probably hit this twice because I want it well coated, and I want it to soak into that wood really good. This will keep this thing from rotting out while it's out in the weather. I will try to keep it covered up best I can, and I do have a place in my lower barn that this is going, and I'll put it down there when it's not being used. All right, it's all sprayed down. I think it looks pretty good. Actually, the oil has a tendency to set in there and really do a good job. But you can see this wood is nice and covered now, and it looks really well. Looks really good. On the inside, it's all covered up. I've got it all sprayed. The bottom was already dark, and I just soaked her down, and it's soaking in. And that should penetrate that wood, and preserve it for many years to come, actually. All right, so we're kind of getting back to the manure spreader. I've been busy, and sometimes these videos come in, different days and so forth when trying to get back to a project, and that's kind of the way this thing's been. We haven't been able to even, get it out there and get it used yet. We got oil on the wood to help preserve it. Now, it is going undercover, but it helped preserve it when it is out in the weather. It also has a couple other things we need to do to it. I need to grease it and other things like that. But I'm just going to talk about it real quick and let you see some of the things about this manure spreader that maybe you didn't know. First off, this is a John Deere. It's a Model L, and it's a Series 51. Now, there's some debate about what that Series 51 means. Some people say that's the year it was made in. I don't know. The information I looked up when I'm going through looking at this, there's not a lot of information on it to start with, but it doesn't indicate that 51 does not seem to indicate that it's actually the year it was made. But this unit was made in the 50s. We do know that, okay? And so you have, there's pretty interesting some of the ways they made this thing work. We're gonna hook it up today, and we'll kind of move it around. Probably won't be able to spread anything today with it, but at least I can hook it up, make sure everything's working. I've already gone through some of the pieces and parts on it just to make sure everything is intact and in tight. It all looks really good. All right, so you have two levers here on the front of this. This is a manual operated manure spreader, so you have to pull levers in order for it to work. The first lever here is considered your feed lever. This determines how fast your chain moves inside of here. This is your chain right here, and it has these little piece of angle iron here, and that feeds all of our manure to the back here to these beater bars, which throws the manure out. The second lever here is considered what they can call your throw out lever. Now, this throw out lever has one position. It goes way down here to the bottom, and what it does is it drops a chain on the other side over here, and we'll talk about that here in just a second, and I'll show you what that looks like. But this one here, your feed, has different positions that you can put it in for the speed that the actual chain is going to push the manure toward the back, toward the beaters. Like I said, this is a drive or ground driven system, so it uses this tire right here to drive the system. It uses an eccentric gear in here, and this eccentric gear runs back here and runs like a ratcheting system. Eccentric gear basically works like this. So as this gear is working, what it does is it clicks a ratchet and starts to move that chain on the inside by clicking this ratchet, and it moves this gear around, which moves that chain. I mean, you're talking about super simple design, and these guys back in that time, the 50s, I'm telling you what, those are, in my opinion, just my opinion, those are true engineers, because they come up with simple processes to do things, and that is just a simple process of moving a chain. They have PTO driven manure spreaders, which I really wish I had one, but I can't afford one of those. Those things are expensive, and I don't know that I'll ever get to own one anytime. I just don't run enough manure on my field to justify the cost of one. But if I had one, it definitely would be helpful, and I think I would probably try to put more manure on our fields if I did own one. But reality is, it's just not in the picture right now. So the other side, we were talking about this lever here, this being our throw out lever. When this lever is down, here I'll show you what it looks like first. So right now the lever is up, and the chain, this chain right here is what drives the beaters. Well, that chain is up off of the sprocket. It's really hard to show you because there's a tire in here in the way. But the chain is off the sprocket right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the chain with the lever. And as you can see, this chain now has dropped down. We are now in the gear, and we can drive the beaters. These are beaters. Basically, it fluffs and throws everything around in order for all of this manure to kind of be busted up, and that's what this is doing. This part is right here, and it's just busting it up and throwing it back to the back here. And whenever the chain is down and everything is working like it's supposed to be, they run it through another set of gears right here. That way they can run what's called the widespread. That's this piece here, and then your beaters, these up here, in the right direction in order to spread your manure. And as you can see, that's how this works. So it turns like this whenever it's down, and all of this beats the manure up. This spreads the manure. Now, from my understanding, on this part right here, there's supposed to be a little rubber piece that comes out here, and so that you'd have something that catches in this area right here, and we don't have that on here right now, but that's the way I understand it. I'm not claiming to be an expert on this machine. I kind of have a good general idea how it works, and like I said, it's a pretty neat and ingenious operation. I'd love to get you some close-ups on how all this 50s engineering worked out. I mean, it's really neat. You have a bottom beater bar, which is right here. It's being driven. It's driving this main beater bar here on the bottom. Then you go to the other side, and you have another chain that goes up and runs the top beater bar, and that's this beater bar here. So that's how all that works together. So eccentric gear in the bottom. This is where the eccentric gear is at. This is your eccentric gear right here. Causes this to work kind of like this, probably like this, which then engages this ratchet, which starts to turn, which drives the drive chain that moves the material backwards into the beater bars, which fluffs it up and breaks it all up, and then sends it through the widespread. Pretty ingenious for the time, for sure. It's amazing, to think about how simple, how effective they built this. Now, like I said before, I'd love to have an actual PTO driven one. We're going to put it behind the case. That's why I have it over here. It is an open station tractor. It's easier to jump on and off and pull these levers when it's time. I have it over here to hook it up and kind of make sure everything's working right. And hopefully we can get some footage of that here in just a moment. Now, there are grease fittings all over this thing, and I'm going to grease her up. I'm not going to bore you with all the grease fittings, but there are several grease fittings throughout this whole process here. It's got grease fittings on everything. Important to keep these greased because I believe these are sleeve bearings. They're not actual regular bearings or ball bearings. So you got to have everything greased up really well, and there are grease fittings basically everywhere. All right, like I said, I'm going to show you the best I can on how all this works. Now we're going to put it together. I'm gonna actually run the machine. I'm gonna put the camera where you can see some of this stuff at the operating. we had it running, got to see a little bit of how this thing works. Pretty neat system. But that's as far as we're going to go today. Hopefully you get to see this thing running here pretty soon. We'll put some stuff in it and distribute it out over probably the field right here behind me. Pretty neat system, and I'm excited to get ready to use it, but I won't be able to do it on this video here. I appreciate you guys. Until next one though, thanks.